Welcome to Math with Mr. J. In this video, we're going to discuss circumference. And circumference is the distance around a circle. And as you can see at the top of your screen in white, we have two formulas we can use. We can use 2 times pi times r, which that r stands for radius, or we can do pi times d, and that d stands for diameter. And again, circumference is the distance around the outside of a circle, so the perimeter of a circle. And as you can see on your screen, we have 4 problems, so we're going to find the circumference for those 4 circles. Now I want to back up a second here to the formulas, and we have this little symbol we mentioned that's the symbol for pi. Now pi is the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to get into further detail about pi. There's great articles and websites and YouTube videos that you can learn more about pi, but for now we're just going to focus on calculating circumference. Now pi is a very long decimal, so there should be a button on your calculator that you can use to calculate circumference as we're going through these problems. Or it is common, since pi is a very long decimal, some people use the rounded shortened version of 3 14/100. Again, it's typical and common to use that or use the button on a calculator. So let's get back to circumference here, and like I mentioned earlier, we have 4 circles or 4 problems on your screen that we are going to find the circumference for. So let's jump right in to number 1. So for number 1 here, we have a circle with a radius of 6 inches. And the first thing we want to do, it's always good habit to write out your formula first. So we have circumference equals 2 times pi, and we are given the radius, so I'm going to use the radius formula. Then let's plug in our radius. So 2 times pi times our radius of 6. Then we calculate. And once we punch it in to our calculator, we should get 37. And you're going to get a pretty long decimal there, so I rounded to the hundredths place, 70 hundredths. And our unit of measure is inches. Now one thing I do want to mention, you can use either of these formulas, 2 pi r or pi d, for any problem. Because if you're given a radius, you can find the diameter. You just double the radius, right? It's 6 inches halfway across this circle, so all the way across, the diameter would be 12 inches. So you could do pi times 12 and it would give you that same answer. Or if you're given a diameter, you can have it, cut it in half, and you would have the radius, and you could use the 2 pi r. So both formulas are essentially the same thing, just depends if you use the radius or diameter. So let's go to number 2 here. Circumference equals, they give us the diameter, so let's use pi times diameter. Next step, let's plug in. We have pi times a diameter of 10 centimeters. Then we calculate, and we get an answer of 31 46 centimeters. Again, this one gave a long decimal, so I rounded to the hundredths place. Number 3, we are given the diameter, so let's use circumference equals pi d, or pi times diameter. We'll plug in the diameter, so pi times 15, and then calculate, and we get an answer of 47 12 and this is feet. Again, just to recap, circumference is the distance around a circle, so the perimeter. So if I were to trace or go around, I'm not drawing a perfect circle here, but go around that circle. It's the distance around would be 47 and 12/100 feet. Number 4, let's start with the formula. So circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius. Then we plug in the radius of 4 inches, so 2 times pi times the 4-inch radius. And we calculate, and we get an answer of 25 and 13/100, and this is inches, so inches. So there you have it. That's how you calculate circumference. You have 2 formulas to use there. You can use the radius or diameter, 2 times pi times the radius, or pi times the diameter. Hopefully that was helpful. Until next time, peace.